On behalf of your host, Steve D, this is Bruce Buffer saying thank you for tuning in to Xtreme Lyfe. And now, this is the moment Xtreme Lyfe fans around the world have been waiting for. It's time!
All right, welcome to the show. This is Xtreme Lyfe Podcast. I am on today. I am joined by, in my opinion, a true inspiration, a woman who has arguably been the most influential and important advocate of women's mixed martial arts. Co-founder and president of Invicta FC, Shannon Knapp. I am so happy to have you on. Thank you for coming on today.
Oh, Steve, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm telling you, and we made it happen too. I mean, we've been talking about this for a little while now, back and forth, and
it's been a little crazy. A lot been going on. That's for sure.
Oh, I know, and we're going to get into that, right? I mean, I know there's a lot of stuff happening. I know you've been moving a lot of things around, and it's just been a whirlwind for you. But I mean, you've been in this game for a very long time. I think and you could correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, you started out as with UFC doing public relations, things like that, media, right? Am I correct? Or why don't you tell me the story? Tell me how you got into this.
Actually, I started in smaller promotions and things like that, but I did work at the UFC, but it was more on the broadcast side. So,
okay.
Yeah, it was more. And then from
doing
there,
interviews and stuff like that.
Yeah. So from there, I moved on to the IFL.
Okay. Yeah.
And then from there, I moved on to Affliction. And when I was with the IFL, I did a couple of the WFA shows, then Affliction, and then Strike Force, and then Invicta.
Yeah, so. Like like I said, you've worked for most of the major promotions and probably some small ones that that are out there as well. But you were a matchmaker. I mean, I think you've done it just about all in mixed martial arts on the promotion side, right?
Yeah, it feels that way. Yeah, some days more so than others, but yeah.
So, I guess what was the inspiration for Invicta FC? I mean, what inspired you to jump into that, create that whole promotion around women's mixed martial arts when clearly at that time. I'm putting it in time context because definitely not now. People are very much. I know a lot of fights that I'd much rather watch the females than some of the males out there because there's some monsters out there right now. But at the time when you created this, it was, faced with a whole lot of kind of criticism. I think Dana White even at one point said women would never compete in the UFC. If I'm, I think I remember him saying that. I'm not sure, but I think that was kind of the tone at that time. And I think a lot of people kind of felt that way. What made you decide to kind of make this leap and do this, make the jump into Invicta?
I know this is going to sound, I always think it sounds so wishy-washy or whatever, but honestly, the reason was to make a difference. That truly was the reason. I've always been throughout my whole career a huge advocate for the athlete and the sport. So just identifying that there was a place that, I could really go in and fight the good fight and make a difference really kind of ignited the fires. I mean, after a while, after you've worked in the business for a long time and every time you build it up, the company goes under or somebody buys it or something like that, it can become very deflating. And for me, and I was doing another interview today and I really realized this. I think that after all the time that, invested in Strike Force, to build that last tournament, and it was an amazing tournament because he who has the heavyweights wins.
Oh, yeah.
And, I think that, coming out from underneath that, it was a little deflated, so when I had the women approaching me and coming to me and talking about, they were concerned about what was going to happen with them, it was really an opportunity to get fired up because I like a good fight, and I really felt confident that I had been a naysayer because early in my career and stuff, when, they would want me to do a matchup or something, nobody came to me and said, hey, go out there and find the best women out there. It was hot girls. That's what it was about.
Yeah.
And I was very territorial about taking a spot from one of my guys for hot girls, as they would put it.
Yeah.
And working at Strikeforce and having, the opportunity to watch some of the female athletes, because it was my first really, introduction, so to speak, with working with the female athletes. And it really changed my mind. It gave me a whole new perspective to see their passion, their work ethic, and just the fight. I mean, it was unbelievable. So yeah, that's all those things are what really inspired me and really what pushed me and to make that decision.
And the passion shows, right? Because you persevered through all that. What were some of the early barriers? I mean, what were some of the biggest challenges early on?
For me, I think what I found out was that there really wasn't a lack of competitors. There was just a lack of organization. Nobody was willing to, I'd call them the weekend gardeners. They dabble around in it a little,
Yep.
But never really, it wasn't fully commit to it. So it needed somebody that was going to roll up the sleeves, get in here and really work to organize and build these divisions, because that's what it lacked.
Mm-hmm.
The people that were not happy about the landscape for women are seeing mismatch fights. They're seeing athletes take fights that, that a couple weight classes up. So, there's somebody just needs to be committed, and I knew it wasn't going to be easy. You're picking the hardest thing in the sport. You're really going out here and you're going to have to forge the way. So, but once again, it was a good cause. And I needed something at that time really to light that fire again.
Mm-hmm.
Something
to get excited about. Something to get excited about, something to jump into and really roll your sleeves up, get into the battle. I mean, and really kind of push something and fight for something. I think that's always the most, the best outcomes usually are the most passionate causes that you have. Right. So, and women's mixed martial arts. I mean, there was a time where it was like there were women fighting, but there was really, like you're saying, there was no real organization around it. There was no kind of future, so to speak, created at that time. I mean, I'm, at that point there, Invicta wasn't there. There wasn't a whole lot of promotions doing women fighting, mixed martial arts, and then like you said, Strikeforce, and then you come into Invicta, you create this whole women's promotion. And, I know people that have tried to create promotions and failed. Because there's a lot that pop up. They pop up like crazy. I've
worked for some of them.
Every other day, right? You hear of a new promotion. You're like, and it's like, it's funny because people come on the show. You're like, have you heard of this fighter? He fights with this promotion. I'm like, I haven't even heard of that promotion. But I'm going to check it out.
It's so sad because, I do feel for athletes that starting out, especially in those. I mean, this is a rough sport. It's hard, and you have limited time, in a career span, so I'm like the one that always feels bad for everybody. You want to make it better. You do, because, without them, we don't really have anything.
Well, you have empathy for these people that are trying to really make something, right? I mean, it's important. You have to.
Yeah. It's part of being human. Have an understanding of what it is, to dream. It's a dream. It's something that they want to accomplish, and I mean, for me, that's a feel good to help somebody make that step, towards that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And was there a time when you had some doubts when you were, I'm sure maybe a few times along the way, you're like, I don't know if this is going to work out, but what was that like? I mean, when you're dealing with that and you're starting to get to that point where you're like, oh, I don't think this is going to work. How do you
never got to that point?
Okay. All right. Good.
Cockeyed optimist, or something like that. Never got to that point. I've always had faith, and that's it. Sometimes I don't know what I'm doing, but, I'm just like, I have faith that this is where I'm supposed to be, what I'm supposed to be doing. We certainly have always been in that position that if we needed it, it was provided for us. Whatever that was, that avenue that a fight fell off, we needed, a replacement, we've always been really blessed in that aspect. I always feel like that, in that sense. So yeah, I mean, there's days you get worn out, you're just like, oh my gosh, gonna get,
How am I going to get through this
any more
day?
problems today or something, but for the most part, I'm just always like, yeah, we'll figure it out. We will figure it out. There's, if we're not getting enough viewership or we're not selling enough tickets or whatever, something, you always keep working to just elevate and make it better. And I've always just felt like we're, always going to accomplish what we need to, because number one, I have an amazing staff. We have a lot of great people, a lot of great athletes. I mean, that's the heavy lifting, they're the ones that are doing, the work. And, I just have a lot of confidence in that.
Well, just going through your roster, I mean, you've had some incredible. Amanda Nunez has come through there, Felicia Spencer. I mean, I could read the list, and it goes on and on and on with all these incredible alumni plus current fighters. I mean, you got some amazing current fighters. Some of them have been with you for a very long time, still with you in Invicta FC. And it's just great to see that. It's great to see that longevity. And these women having a real, I mean, these are amazing careers you see happening coming out of Invicta, which is awesome. I mean, you must feel a tremendous amount of pride in that.
Well, just very blessed, to have the opportunity, to walk down the path with some of them to, where they're headed. So, yeah, I mean, we've been incredibly blessed to have the athletes that we've had come through here. And the great thing is there are a lot of new athletes and a lot of talent out there. So we're hoping to be able to showcase a lot more of that, a lot more of the shows. We're going to be doing a lot more shows now. And, it's very fan friendly. Yeah. I don't know if you've noticed, but, we're on Access TV now. And
I was going to ask you about that. I was going to ask you what's it.
So, it's very accessible for the athletes. So, we just keep, moving forward and hopefully putting out the great product and bringing a lot more new athletes.
You do, because I'm going to tell you, I watch every time you guys have a show. It was kind of interesting. The last Invicta FC, which was only a couple of weeks ago, you had somebody who had been on this show just a couple of weeks prior to that, Chrissy Yandali. Was a fighter, and she did her debut with you guys, which was I love seeing that. One of the things I focus on, and I don't know how much you know about this podcast, but I focus a lot on up and coming fighters. I do some people that have been established for a while. I mean, I had, I have some old timers on too, like Ken Shamrock. Don't tell him I said that, but
I like Ken.
But, I have a bunch of different people, but I really try to focus on the up and coming fighters, because I think, they need the platform more than the fighters that are going to, that have been around a long time, that are really established already. And they're just so grateful to be on too. Right. So it's really good to give them that, give them a chance to be noticed a little bit. And it's kind of along the same lines as, not nowhere near the scale you're on, but
you're doing good work too.
I'm trying to. Can
you imagine if everybody does a little bit of that, what it would be like?
Well, it's kind of like what you said, have a leap of faith, right? When I started this podcast, I've been thinking about doing it for a couple of years. And basically, I just said to myself, you know what? I just got to pull the trigger. Wherever it goes, it goes. And that's it. And that's kind of what, where it all kind of came from here, So it's kind of like, just get it done. You'll work through all the details, and wherever it takes you, which is awesome, and I mean, you have so many great fighters coming through right now. Can you tell me about anybody we should be really keeping an eye on right now?
Oh, this part is always rough for me because, if I say one and I don't say another.
Yeah.
And I always feel like a mom, I think, can't say like one of
you
my
don't have a favorite child there,
but it's kind of that feeling, you just, there are a lot of amazing talent. We've got some new faces that are coming back to Invicta as well. I think the fans are going to get really excited about that. Like I said, I always feel like if I mention one, it's then I'm leaving somebody off that. And, I think watching the show this next week on the 11th, I think fans are going to be excited to see some of those athletes that are, I think this tournament's going to be very good.
Yeah, so, I am really excited about this because it's, I think you have you're going for number one contender of the atomweight division, right? Which I think is, and I'm assuming that fighter is going to fight for the championship. at some point very soon.
Correct. Yeah.
Afterwards. So,
yeah.
So it's really kind of a cool, it reminds me a little bit of the old school style of MMA where you have the tournament and then, it's going to be a lot of fun to see all those fights and see who comes out on top and who gets that number one, spot to face, face the champ for the title. I think that's going to be great. And can't wait to see what's next on Invicta, and coming through. But, like I said, there's a laundry list of great fighters right now that have been through there and that are still there. What are some of the what is your most memorable moment? If you can narrow it down.
I guess sometimes, it depends on what memorable is. For me, like a memorable moment is sometimes like when you hand that belt to somebody.
Yeah.
Or, you're putting it around their waist and it's somebody that, the moment they walked into that office, and they saw that belt and, you just can always tell like the expression in somebody's eyes. And so when that, for me, like when somebody that's persevered really worked hard to get there, that's a memorable moment.
Yeah. And that's perfect. Yeah. I mean, that moment when you put the belt around someone's waist and, they busted their ass to get there. Yeah. and they've trained countless hours. And I talked to, and I'm sure you do too, talking to a lot of fighters. You get to that, it's not the fight that's the hardest part. The fight is the easiest part of the whole process. It's all the training that comes up in camp. Then it's the weight cut to wherever you got to get to make the fight, to make weight for the fight. And then the fight kind of comes and, and a lot of them tell me, it's over before I even, can really take it in sometimes. It's already kind of, it's like you do all that work for months and then you get to this, 15 minutes or 25 minutes, whatever the rounds are. And then that's pretty much, then you're moving on to the next one, whatever that is.
Yeah. With whatever result you walked away with.
Yeah. I think that's sometimes the most heartbreaking thing when it's like, someone trained for months and then it just ends really quick. And you're like,
it can be very deflating. That's a tough time. Mm-hmm. But I always try to have a conversation with the athlete. If that, happens to be the case, like, somebody that's, the real true thing is that the real growth comes from those losses.
Oh yeah.
Although we don't want, that's the real true growth. And you'd rather be happening now at this point, sometimes at this point, than later. Cause you're taking on and you're learning those lessons and it's going to really make a difference in your career as you go through.
Well, losses build character, right? Losses build resilience. They build character.
Yeah.
You learn way more from your failures than you ever will from successes.
You do. Because I can assure you one thing, they never want to feel that way again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's very emotional, because you're so emotionally connected to it and, just all the work and the effort that you put into it. So at that moment when we lose, you're either emotionally just over the moon, because you just won the belt, or you're devastated, and because it was just right there, and that's a really, really,
and it's hard to watch, right? It's heartbreaking when you see a fighter, because unfortunately someone has to lose. Two people walk in, someone has to walk out and lose that fight. And, it's heartbreaking for whoever loses and you're celebrating for whoever wins. Right. So it's kind of like that real, you're in an ambivalent state right now. Right.
Yeah.
You're like,
that is it, literally, but the thing is that it is the sport and, that person was just better at what they were doing that night. You just got to get back up and that's usually also what kind of defines, when I look at an athlete to see like really who I think has that championship mentality and can really make it. Because you do have a wallowing. You do have to wallow in that loss a little bit, to feel it and really embrace what just happened. But it's really how you pick yourself up and where you go from there that really is really defining, of what comes next.
It comes down to this. Everybody loses at some point. Everybody, and it's what you do with that. It's what you do with that. That really matters. It's not the fact that you're going to lose or you're not going to lose because everybody's going to lose at some point. It's how you handle it, how you get back up, what you do moving forward, how you adjust your training. And I love what you said, because I say that all the time is, it's just that person was better that night.
Yeah.
If it was a week later, it might have been a different story. Sometimes that happens.
Or maybe you'd had a better day, you would have ate less, this, that, or something would have, Yeah. I mean, there can be many things. And, and I think that an athlete just has to have faith, faith in their ability. And I think as a promoter, as the person that's kind of watching over their well-being as well, is that I think it's important for me to let them know that I still have faith, and I haven't lost that faith, that, I believe that, if you get back up and you go again, that, there's great things and that your career, you will be successful.
Yeah.
I think people need to hear that,
Oh, absolutely. They need that encouragement.
Yeah. An employee does a great job. I think you should tell them, yeah, because we're eager to say when they don't, people are, but I think it's important that you do, definitely take compliment where due.
Unfortunately, I think a lot of managers and people who run, any business, they spend more time with the employees that are not doing well than the ones that are. So it's kind of that's a problem.
That's
you
true,
spend more time telling people what they do wrong than what they're doing right. And I think you need to really focus on that. You need to focus your energy on, oh, you did this really great. And, you're doing this. And then, all you have to do is keep doing this and you're going to be in a better place. Right. So, I think it's that encouragement that really speaks volumes. And you said, as a promoter, it's kind of like, part of your responsibility to kind of help these fighters kind of get back, where they, kind of keep them motivated, keep them in that good place, even if they lose. And that's that's a rare thing. It's a good promoter that does that.
I can just tell you, I may not have all the money that everybody else has, at times and things like that. But what I can tell you is that, here in Invicta, we respect, and we do genuinely care.
Yeah.
We do want the best for the athletes. So
yeah, and
that is something that, we can do better than everybody else.
And that's important. And I'm going to tell you, I think it's really important. Believe me. I mean, you could call me a sap or whatever, but I think that's really important to be, because I know a lot of promoters too, and a lot of them are hard nosed, kind of like, some don't really care that much about the fighters. They just care about the other piece of it. And some really, then you have the opposite, like you, who actually seem to care about the fighters and want to see people do well. And that's important.
Yeah. But I will say this in all fairness though, because I have seen some bad things happen to other promoters, and, and you get to a point where you feel jaded. I don't even like the word promoter, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But you do, I've seen people pour heart and soul into, helping athletes and stuff. And I've seen them not, that not be reciprocated and be, so in all fairness, I do understand sometimes when, other people don't share the same disposition that I do when it comes to.
Yeah. I guess if you've been burned a lot, you've been burned a lot, you get like, you know what? Not going to let that happen again.
Yeah. And I mean, by the grace, we've been pretty fortunate over here in that aspect, but I've seen some bad apples.
Yeah. So what's it like being on I know you're on a new network now. What's it like being on a new network? I mean, is it different? I mean, I know this is something you've had in the works for a little bit, but what's it like being on the new network, doing it? Does it change the way you operate at all a little bit, or?
It has. Okay. I mean, there have been some changes, right now we're in that integration process, where we're integrating teams and doing all that kind of thing. It's been good changes. We hope to be more fine-tuned as we move forward and, really be able to put out a lot more content than we have in the past. So, I'm really excited because they're very ambitious. Anthem Sports Entertainment's a very ambitious company. They see what we're doing here. They're really behind it, and they have a lot of resources. So those are the things I'm excited about. Plus, I love the fact that not only do the athletes have that element of television, for sponsorship stuff, also, no matter where you're at, you can watch it on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. So
that's cool.
That's pretty amazing within itself.
That's awesome.
There's no paywall on that. So that's kind of good. Right.
Well, that's one of the things I loved about Invicta and love about Invicta is that it's so accessible, right? You made it kind of accessible to everybody, right? Which I think is really important. So as I said, I have a lot of fighters on. I have a lot of female fighters on that are just up and coming. And this kind of for them, I want to ask this question. What does Invicta look for in a fighter? What are some things that a fighter can do in her early career to kind of get that call? Because I know a lot of them would love to have that call. I mean, I could throw names out, but whatever. I know a lot of fighters would love to get that call. What are you guys looking for? What makes a good fight for a fighter for Invicta?
I know I've always been this way. If you think I should know who you are, email me. I look at my emails.
I can attest to that. I'm going to tell you.
It's xnap@invictafc.com. Email me. Tell me I should be paying attention to you. I will definitely look.
Yeah.
That's the thing is, I know I'm not somebody that's really good at self-promotion. So I get it when you're out there and oh, should I not? Yeah. I mean, make the move. I mean, make sure I know who you are. Mm-hmm. I love it when people reach out and say, you know what, I'm in the Emmys now, but I'm coming, I mean, that to me is like a big statement. That to me is, that they have a passion that they want to be here, and I love that kind of stuff. So I'm always paying attention, just make a little noise. I'll see you.
Yeah.
I'm not online as much as I used to be, but, definitely make some noise. You can email me, you can message me. Tell me I should be watching you.
Yeah, no, that's great advice.
Send me links to your fights if you've got them. I'll watch them.
Your email's going to get blown up now. You know that, right?
Yeah. Hey, one time
you're going to crash. Your whole system.
One time I put my phone number on the Ariel Hawani show. I was like, you don't like my show? You call me. You call me and you tell me.
Your actual phone number? Really?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, no. That might have been a mistake.
The people were really kind. I did get some calls, but it was very kind. I mean, I didn't mind. For me, it was that like in good faith. I want you to watch my show. I need you to give me 2 minutes of your time. Tune in. Yeah. You don't like my show? Call me up. Tell me what you don't like. So it was like really that kind of that good faith exchange. Ariel's like, are you going to give the number? Well, absolutely. He
didn't warn you. He didn't say, hey, wait a minute. This might not be a good idea.
Yeah. Go figure. Yeah. But I figured, if you're going to put it out there, you need to back it up and be willing to stand out on the ledge.
You have to own it. You have to own it once you do it. Right?
I'm telling you, if I'm going to stand here and say, believe in me, come watch this. I'm telling you, it's great. I've got to have something, to back it up. And it was, you can call me and tell me if I suck and the show sucks, but
they didn't do that, did they?
I had that much faith in my athlete. Literally.
No, you got to be. And like I said, one thing, I always say, you got to be careful these days. Cause I mean, it seems lately like people are walking around with a rock looking for a window to throw it through sometimes. So
I thought about that. Yeah. I thought about people that don't like women to be empowered. I thought, I'm a sitting duck, right?
Yeah. Well, there's people out there that just want to be angry about stuff. I mean, especially now. And you're totally not, and I'm not, but there are people who are. They just want to be pissed off all the time. I don't know why, but don't get me wrong.
They're not on my friend list. I'm not. Yeah, that's not my favorite. Yeah, not my friend list.
No, there are things that upset me. Don't get me wrong, but generally I'm not an angry person, and I think that's there are people that I know that are just like they're just pissed all the time. I'm like, how do you exist like that? You're just mad. You're gonna give yourself a damn heart attack, man.
Yeah. Life is you got to let go of stuff like that because that is true.
Especially resentments. It's like someone said to me once, a resentment is like drinking poison, waiting for someone else to die.
Pretty much. Well, it really is. Huh? Yeah, because it really does gnaw and eat away at your soul, in the very core of, it's just not cool. It's not fun.
No, you're the one walking around with it, nobody else. So that's the problem. But, at the end of the day, what do you want? What do you see for Invicta in the future? What do you think? If you had a crystal ball, go 5-10 years down the road, where do you see Invicta FC?
For the dream. How about that? What is the dream? Can I do the dream?
What is the dream? What is the dream?
So the dream is that, is to launch all of the combat sports genres for women under the Invicta banner.
Okay.
To have the boxing. I think boxing needs someone to come in and fight the good fight for the women in the boxing and, in that side of the sport. I think that I think that, it's another one of those cases. Somebody's got to roll up their sleeves and
Mhm.
and really be determined to come in and do something about that. And I'm up for the job. I like the idea of launching it, doing a stand up, whether it's Muay Thai or kickboxing, and just launching all the genres for women and helping them build their brands, and creating content that's fun, that's exciting, different styles of shows. So that's the dream over the next 5-10 years, is to be able to launch the genres, create a sports franchise for women in combat sports.
That's a great dream. I like it a lot. I mean, even, maybe even some jujitsu in there under the Invicta banner, really, it sounds like you really want to
on a formula or format for a jiu-jitsu show.
Oh, that's awesome.
You'll be very excited. Yeah. I like working on formats and changing things and, pushing the envelope a little bit without taking away from the essence of what the sport really is.
And what Invicta is, right? Invicta FC, keep the spirit of the Invicta FC, no matter what MMA, or whether it's boxing or whether it's Muay Thai or, and like I said, there's a lot of great opportunities out there. And I think that's great. You'll create a lot of opportunities for, up and coming fighters in all those genres, which I think is amazing. And, I just want to thank you so much for coming on today. I mean, is there anything else? Is there anything people should be looking out for, should be watching? I mean, anything else you want to share with my audience before we end the podcast?
Well, absolutely. They should be watching the upcoming show this next Friday on June 11th. So it is the Atom Weights. It's the Phoenix Tournament Series. And, it's amazing. It's full of twists and turns, very exciting. The lineups out there, it's an amazing group. I think fans won't be disappointed. Yeah. This is the Phoenix series is or we call it the Phoenix tournament, but it's a tournament series that I came up with that provides minimal risk with big reward, cash reward for the athletes. So I always get real excited when we have the tournaments, and I think the fans really, really enjoy them.
Yeah, well, I know I'm going to be watching. I mean, it's going to be awesome. I can't wait. I'm excited. When I saw the format that was released on that for June 11th, I was very excited. I'm actually going to be in Florida, but I'll be watching from Florida because I'm actually flying out on Saturday to do some diving down there. But I'm definitely going to be watching that show with that format, because I think it's just going to be amazing. I'm really excited.
We've got some new stuff we'll be announcing soon that's going to go along with it. So I think fans are going to get really excited. There's some good stuff.
Very awesome. Well, you should come on here and announce it on here.
There you go.
Listen, Shannon, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Hopefully you come on again down the road. And I really, this has been a huge pleasure for me, a huge honor for me to have you on the show, definitely was worth it. And love the conversation and love to hear where you're going and what you're doing and love to hear your passion and your dream. I think that's awesome.
Thank you.
And it shows in what you're doing. So
I appreciate that. And thanks for supporting us,
always.
And the women in the sport. We appreciate
anything I can do. Like you said, your email, you have mine. So just send me an email. Anything I could do to help. If there's anything, let me know. I'd be glad to. So
that's amazing. Thanks so much.
All right, Shannon. Thank you. Be good.